Testing, testing. Looks like we're working. You move your feet, you lose your seat. Toby takes that rule very seriously. Come on, Scooch Pooch. He hates me, and I wonder why he hates me. All right, buddy, you can't have center cam here. That's my job. Can I have something that's just for me? For once? We're just gonna have to make do with this. But first, coffee time. Just a PSA, please do not attempt a conversation with me until the brown bean water has passed my lips. Thank you. Namaste. Namaste in bed. Get it? Because where I am right now. Yep. Now that everyone that cannot handle dad jokes has left the building, we may start. Welcome back, everyone, for some good vibes. I've done Q&As in the past, but I think the last time I did one was when my channel hit 20K, maybe less than 20K. I really don't remember, but it has been a very long time. It's definitely been at least a year, maybe even a year and a half. Either way, a lot has changed since then. Like a lot, not just the channel and the subscriber count, but me, myself, and I as a human being. I have changed a heck of a lot. Like I promised, let's get to the Q&A. I asked you guys on Twitter or X. I'm still calling it Twitter, and I'm forever calling it Twitter. So suck on that. I asked you guys to send me questions. All kinds of questions. I didn't really specify because I can't really control what people ask me anyway, so I figured don't do that. Just see what they hit you with. I do want to warn you guys, there might be a lot of tangents, a lot of rambling that might or might not have anything to do with the question that was just asked. That is who I am. I am sorry. If you are not a patient person, I may suggest just clicking off the video. It's totally fine. I'm sure there are a lot of people on the internet that you could listen to talk for anywhere between 30 minutes to an hour to 2 hours, where you could learn so much more than you probably could from me. But depending on the questions that are asked, we are definitely going to get philosophical and deep up in here, okay? I am a very philosophical and deep person. Also, there's going to be a lot of dad jokes in this video because, like I've said many times in the past, I need to hit a certain dad joke quota for the year or else I die. Okay, I finally found my tweet, and we got a good number of questions here. I'm very excited. All right, first question from Grab That Onion. I actually have a question for you. I know that's really not normally how this works, but like I have a question for you, and maybe that's not fair. But you don't have to answer it. Where did you get that name? Whose onion are we grabbing, and why are we grabbing onions? Okay, why not apples? Or if we're just sticking with the veggie theme, why aren't we grabbing carrots? What about broccoli? I have so many questions. What 3 people throughout history would you want at your dinner table? And I love this question already. I'm sorry, I can't even read. What is one question you would ask to each of them? Knowing what you know now, and if you could travel back in time to shortly after you started YouTube, what advice would you give to younger you? Okay, so there's 2 questions here. What 3 people throughout history would I want at my dinner table? Okay, I'm going to make up my own rules here as I go along. They don't have to be dead, okay? I'm going to also talk about, oh my god, I'm so excited to answer this question. All right, most of them are actually still alive. All of my idols are at least 60 years old as of April 2nd of 2024. The first person that I would invite to my dinner table is Julie Andrews. I love her so much. I think she is such a phenomenal human being. Listening to her talk, listening to her sing, she speaks to my soul. Obviously, I don't know her personally, and there's always that saying, don't meet your heroes, but I think she's truly a good person. There's nothing about her that makes me feel otherwise. I'm also not saying that I have the best judge of character, but I feel like she's only ever done good throughout her life. Look at all the stuff she's created. Look at the messages that she puts out in every single interview. It's all about being herself. She has influenced so much about who I am as a person, my personality, why I enjoy singing, why I took singing lessons in the first place. The Sound of Music is one of my all-time favorite movies. It's a long movie sitting at, 3 hours? And for me, that is not enough. I know I'm talking a lot about this one person, but I've been waiting for so long to be able to have this conversation and to truly express to those who care enough to watch this video how much I love Julie Andrews. I know we're all mortal and everybody is going to kick the bucket at some point in their life, but I am telling you right now. When she goes, I will be taking a very long hiatus from the internet. Okay, person number 2. There's a lot here. There's a lot of people here in my list, but I would say number 2 probably has to go to Dolly Parton. She is such an inspiration to me in so many ways, I don't know if I can cover them all. And the funny thing is that for a long time, I was kind of indifferent towards her. If anything, I kind of turned my nose up at her. But it all changed one day when I decided to watch this documentary that came out about her. She talked about her life, how she got to where she is, why she does what she does, why she dresses the way she does. And it dawned on me how intelligent of a human being this person is. She is so strong in so many ways. The only way you can understand it is if you give the documentary and any of her interviews a chance, if you really sit down and listen to the words that she says. She is somebody who is so authentically and genuinely herself, and she don't take no shit. If you listen to her talk about her life, she has so many stories where she was judged by her appearance or wasn't given certain opportunities for whatever reason. She never backed down. She never quit. She kept going. She never lost sight of who she was and what her values were. And when I look at her, she radiates a level of power that to me transcends like physicality. It goes to like the spiritual level. There are some days when I'm having a really, really bad day, or somebody says something to me and I don't like it, or I feel like it offends me, and I really want to clap back. When I'm aware enough of how I'm feeling in those situations, I'm telling you the honest to God truth, I will sometimes sit down and think to myself, okay, in this situation, what would Dolly Parton do? What would Julie Andrews do? To me, the answer is they would deal with the situation with kindness, with grace, without jeopardizing who they are, what their values are, and the message that they're trying to put out to the world. When I think about what they would do, or I just take the time and the space to really think about how I want to react, every single time I end up reacting in a way where I know I won't end up regretting it later on in life. Those two women are so inspirational to me. They also make me so excited to get older, and that's something I struggle with a lot too. Especially right now, like as a YouTuber, I often think about what it's going to be like for me to age. Will people still watch my content? Will people still care? You know, and then you see them who, even in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, they are still killing it. They remind me that age doesn't matter. You're gonna be okay. I hope to one day have the wisdom that they do, and that's why I'm so infatuated with listening to them, because I feel like I learn so much just by listening to their life experiences, and they also really inspire me to just be myself and not be afraid to show my talents and be silly, be funny, be quirky, be weird, go for any opportunities that come your way, because you never know what one opportunity is going to lead to. And throughout all the interviews and all of the content that they've ever created that I've consumed, something that always comes up with them is the fact that they never knew where they were going to end up. And they ended up where they ended up because they weren't scared. Dolly Parton especially is one of those people that inspired me to look fear in the face when it arises and learn how to make it my friend. Don't be afraid to attempt something. Don't be afraid to put a video out into the world, even if that risks you being judged. All right, I need to give you my third person before I make this video too long after only one question. Ooh. The next spot is really a toss-up between two people, okay? Carol Burnett or Kristen Wiig. But I would say Kristen Wiig has been an idol for me longer than Carol Burnett has, but they have a lot of similarities. They're both phenomenal people. They're so funny. They're incredible comedians, and I would say they are trailblazers in their space. They're so freaking funny, witty, talented. A lot of my humor comes straight from Kristen Wiig herself. Kristen Wiig herself. Carol Burnett is a more recent idol of mine. I started watching some of her old skits and clips from her show, The Carol Burnett Show. I just listened to a Conan O'Brien podcast with her literally yesterday. The insights that she brings to the table is so fascinating. Literally, I could listen to these older legacy entertainers, performers, whatever you want to call them. I could listen to them for ages and just absorb into my brain all the stuff that they talk about. They have so much wisdom, and they're all so incredibly authentic and genuine as people. But I would say the third spot would go to Kristen Wiig. I have been doing her Target Lady impression since I was in high school. Welcome to Target! It is so great to have you here. What are these? Tampons. Where'd you get them tampons? Sometimes I use gift cards as bath mats for my dollhouse. I used to do my Target Lady impression all the time in high school because I knew it would make people laugh. It's also one of the very few impressions I can do, so like don't get your hopes up, okay? That's really it. All of her characters have inspired impressions from me. Like, oh my gosh, there's another one that she does. Her character Dunice, the girl with the large forehead with the literal baby doll hands, easily one of my favorite skits of all time. Whenever I'm in a bad mood, I will throw up a best of Kristen Wiig clip video on YouTube. Hold on, I need to show you full forehead for this one, okay. Once I fell into a stream and I landed on a fish, so the fish went up my skirt cause I thought it was a cave and I liked the way it felt, so I wore it to church. Is that bad? Let's just say, at one point, my entire personality was Kristen Wiig. I don't know if I'm proud of that last impression, nor do I actually think it was good. I just love that character Dunice so much, and her monologues that she goes on still live in my head rent-free. Don't you guys love how the first question took me like probably 40 minutes to get through? This is going to be a long video. So hopefully I answered the question, which was 3 people throughout history you would want at your dinner table. Again, it's not really from history because they're all still alive, but they are my idols, and I would not want to have dinner with anybody else. The second part to this question, knowing what you know now, and if you could travel back in time to shortly after you started YouTube, what advice would you give to younger you? So I don't know if a lot of people know this actually. When I started YouTube in 2021, yeah, very, very early 2021, I had just come off of being a live streamer for, 4 years, 5-ish years. I started streaming originally when I kind of started my content creation journey. I started as a live streamer on Twitch, moved around platforms over the years, learned a lot of things along the way, but I actually started creating content as a live streamer back in 2017. So I have been on the internet for a while. I have seen many platforms, rise and fall and die and rise up again. It's been all over the place. The topic of content creation and self-expression is a very long podcast-worthy conversation that I could go on about if you would let me, but I'll stick to just the YouTube thing because I would say that has been the most life-changing choice. Obviously, hindsight 2020, I didn't know it at the time, but there is not a single day that I regret making the choices that I made. But specifically YouTube, if I could go back to early 2021 when I started, and also for some context, I was at one of the lowest points in my life when I started YouTube. I don't know if that came across in early videos. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't, but I was going through it. I was at a very, very, very low point in my life. I had no direction. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was coming off of being a full-time streamer. Like, beyond that, had almost zero life experience, job experience. I have found some really cool opportunities alongside doing YouTube that I was able to fund my craft on YouTube. So I was very lucky in that regard. But what I would tell myself if I could go back to that time is to just keep going. Don't question your feelings. Don't question the inspiration that you feel within you, like the passion. Follow your joy. I would literally tell myself, keep doing exactly what you're doing. Because looking back now, I'm not saying I did everything perfect. I definitely made mistakes, but I would not give up a single mistake for anything in the world. All I would say to myself is to hold on tight and keep going. But I would also tell myself to take more breaks, to balance your work and your life. One of the things that I realized after I had emerged from the streaming world that I really walked away from it completely, one of the things that I realized and kind of regretted was how much stuff in my life I had missed while I was so hyper focused on growing my channel, viewership. I don't really believe in a grind anymore. I feel like the best way to succeed in and really anything in life is to reach a solid balance between what you like to do as a hobby, what you like to do to make money, and what you do just for yourself that doesn't make you any money whatsoever. I realized that I had turned down so many family vacations, so much time with my family that is so limited. I'm really sorry if I start getting emotional, but it might happen. This is kind of a touchy topic for me, but I realized how much I was missing out on. And I also realized that I'm only 20 something once. I'm only 25, 26, 27. I was only 21 once. I became fully aware of who I was in the present moment, and I looked back and I realized how much I was missing because I was so enveloped in this world. And let's be real, existing in that world where you're constantly grinding and streaming or creating content or working a 9 to 5 job, whatever you do, that grind is so exhausting. And if you're not careful, you can kind of lose yourself in that. And I recognized that within myself. I recognized that I kind of lost myself in a way. And the beginning of YouTube for me was the turning point. Really, it was this weird inflection point in my life that I'm so grateful for. It was the push that I needed to focus more on the things that I want, not just chasing the numbers or chasing the next new popular trendy thing. Because of the nature of YouTube and creating videos, a lot of it you're by yourself, you're in your room with just you and a camera and maybe your dog. And with all of the editing of yourself, watching yourself day in and day out, picking up on your own mannerisms. This was a valuable time for me because I did a lot of introspection. I did a lot of observing myself from a more objective standpoint. And throughout the years, I was able to look at myself and think to myself, is this the person I want to put out to the world? Is this the message that I want people to take away? I know I kind of danced around the questions, but this is such a convoluted topic. But I would honestly tell myself to keep going, follow your joy, do not focus on numbers. I also wish I could tell myself that the sooner you stop caring about people pleasing, the better. Raise your hand in the chat if you are also a recovering people pleaser. Out of all of the recovering people pleasers, who also realize that even though you think you're trying to please other people, did you realize that it's kind of a selfish thing? I sat down one day and I realized how selfish I was being by trying to become a people pleaser, because I noticed within me that the more I tried to people please, the more I was trying to control the perception of me as a human being and who I was. I derived a lot of my self-esteem, my self-confidence, and my ego from what people thought about me. So if people thought good things about me, I felt good about myself. If people thought bad things about me, I felt really bad about myself. So I would try to people please to almost in a way, subconsciously, mind you, I'm not doing this intentionally, but in a way, I was kind of manipulating situations to make me feel better about myself, if that makes any sense at all. I'm not saying all people pleasers are selfish, but I recognized within me, myself, not you, me, that this need, this compulsive need to be liked was actually coming from a very selfish, egocentric place. I think I'm going to conclude that right there. I hope that answered your question. I'm sorry it took me 2 hours to get through it. The next question by Glenda. Ooh, Glinda. Glenda reminds me of Glinda, like the good witch from Wicked. Ooh, resisting the urge to sing right now. Popular. You're gonna be popular. I'll teach you the proper poise when you talk to boys. Little ways to flirt and flounce. Okay, I'll stop. They asked, well, I guess the first part is more of a statement, but I just finished playing the first Bioshock. My question is this: have you ever played the Bioshock series? Yes, I have, and it's one of the best gaming franchises ever, period. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. If not, would you ever do a series on it? So happy for you, by the way. Oh, thank you. And to answer the second question, would I do a series on it? Yes, I would absolutely do another series on it. It obviously will not be like a blind playthrough, but for me, it's kind of like a blind playthrough again, because I played those games so long ago, like longer than 7 years ago. The most memorable thing about the game or the games was the atmosphere is some of the best I've ever experienced. I remember the gameplay being really fun. I kind of remember the characters, and by characters, I remember the big daddies, is that what they're called? And like the little sisters. I think that's what they're called. But I'm being dead serious when I say I don't remember a thing about the plot. So, in that sense, it's kind of a brand new playthrough because I don't remember anything, but it's not, and it would not be a blind playthrough because I have technically played from start to finish every single Bioshock game. But going back to your original question, would I play it again on the channel? Absolutely I would. Another question from Soul Brit. Well, first off, you say congrats on 100K. Thank you so much. I really love you and all your good vibes on the channel. Are you planning on playing The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered? Yes, I actually don't even own the game. I was wanting to play it on the channel when it came out, but at that time I was already working on a bunch of different playthroughs and a bunch of other things on the side. I think, let me tell you, the last 3 to 4 months of my life have been some of the craziest, busiest, and downward spiraliest. Yeah. I had so many grand ideas at the time, but didn't actually follow through on a lot because I was going through a lot. But now I'm in such a better place mentally and emotionally, and I would love to jump back in and play Life is Strange, the Last of The Walking Dead, what game are we talking about now? The Last of Us Part 2. I would play that again on the channel. Well, I would play the remastered for the first time, but like since it's the same game, same story, with I think a couple minor differences and additions. What I'm trying to say is I would play it on the channel. The remastered, yes. Oh, Christ, we already hit an hour and we're only on question number 3. This one is from Eric on Twitter. What kind of setup do you use? Oh, gosh. What does that mean? My main recording setup for playthroughs is my desk. I have seemingly all of the generic things that most gaming streamers, YouTubers, content creators would have. I have a 2-monitor setup. Actually, you know what, Miranda? Feel free to film it and then put it up here, or just fill up the entire screen and block me out completely. I have a 2-monitor setup, Sony DSLR for a webcam. I have 2 softbox lights, I think that's what they're called. They're generally used for photography. I have learned from all of my years doing videography on YouTube and editing myself, investing in good lighting alongside audio is one of the most important things you can do to get the crispy video that you sometimes see in my videos. Sometimes you don't even see it, like I'm not perfect. But I found through lots of trial and error that lighting is essential to getting that crispy look. I don't think mine were super expensive. I think you can get a pack of 2 for less than $100. I do highly recommend them. Anything you can do to filter out harsh light, or another trick that I have for you is you can turn your lighting fixture towards your wall and let the light reflect off of the wall onto your face. I did that for so many years. The reason I don't do it now is because, well, I wanted to invest and I wanted to upgrade, but fixtures like that also were not conducive to my setup because I got a weird situation with my room. Part of the wall is more of like a see-through door / window thing, so any light would not be reflected back onto me. It would just go right through. I have a Stream Deck, but I mostly use it to start and pause my video if I need to use the bathroom or something. I have my main PC tower, mouse and keyboard, and of course my new favorite toy, the green screen. For me, the addition of a simple green screen to my setup has leveled up the fun that I have while I create videos. I highly recommend, if you're ever in a creative rut, add something new, do something crazy, get outside your comfort zone. Sometimes when I'm really bored or uninspired or unmotivated, it's because I'm bored with what I'm currently doing at the time. The best way to pull me out of that rut is to put me in a situation where I have to relearn or learn something brand new. Anything specific for video and sound. I use OBS to record. The microphone I use is called the Rode USB Mini. It's a USB microphone. I've tried everything. I've tried XLR, USB. I like them all. But I also really value simplicity. And for me, USB mics, and specifically the Rode mic that I have, is so straightforward, so simplistic. The only issue I have with it is the gain can only be controlled by the Windows settings for your volume. That I thought was kind of weird. I wish there was a dial on the microphone itself that could help you, increase or decrease your volume. I'm sure you could hook it up to a mixer, but if you guys are content creators yourself, you know how expensive those are. And for me, the whole purpose in getting a USB microphone was so I didn't have to buy a super expensive mixer. I do have a mixer. I've used it for a long time, but I wanted something a little different. I wanted to experiment once again, but I think it's called the Elgato XLR mixer. I can show you a picture right here. I've used that for a long time. I highly recommend almost all Elgato products. No, I am not sponsored. Really wish I was, though. I don't know what other gadgets they would really have left to even send me because I own most of their stuff because I've been doing this for such a long time. Sometimes when you upgrade and you buy things over the years, you just accumulate. And if you're like me and you find it very difficult to give up things, you're going to have it for like at least 10 years. I have a pair of Doc Marten boots, shoes that I've had since my sophomore year of high school. That is at least 10 years ago. The camera webcam I use is the Sony ZV-1. I have that hooked up to a cam link, which is plugged into my computer. Eric also has some wisdom for me. Every day you go without watching The Dark Knight is another day you've gone without watching The Dark Knight. And you need to fix it. Heard loud and clear. OAB on Twitter asks, if you like a game, you play it 100% platinum trophy or just the story and the DLC. It really depends. If I love a story enough, I am 10,000 times more likely to attempt a platinum. However, Batman Arkham games, sometimes the stuff you gotta do is way too freaking tedious. I'm sorry, but I am not, at least not this year, I am not collecting all of the Riddler trophies for all 4 games. It's not happening. I'm at an age and a point in my life where, well, this transcends age, but I value my time. I don't have time for that. I got bills to pay. I got mouths to feed. There ain't nothing in this world for free. Also, I really wish maybe you can kind of see this, but look at how he's laying down right now. This is literally how he sleeps every single day, and I have no idea how he doesn't suffocate. Circling back to the question, yes, I will platinum games that I love. I have platinumed Ghost of Tsushima. It was very fun, and in my opinion, it was a very simple platinum. I love platinuming games. I love attempting it, but I'm gonna be honest, if it feels like a chore, I will drop off so fast. I don't ever want gaming to feel like a chore, and I don't want to try to achieve a platinum just because I feel like I should, or like I'm not a gamer if I don't. I want it to be fun. God of War Ragnarok was really fun to platinum as well. I think I also platinumed Spider-Man 2. Again, all very fun, very engaging, and simple platinums. I'm a simple person. I don't want something to take up too much of my time because, like I said before, I got other stuff to do. It may look like my life revolves around video games because YouTube is kind of sort of my job right now. I am a very complex, multi-dimensional human being with varying interests. I love video games, but there's also so many other things in my life that I want to do, that I want to see, and going after tedious, chore-like platinums is going to take a lot of that away from me. But I will always attempt to complete the story and the DLC if they're good. If I'm playing through a game and the story is not vibing with me, I need to start normalizing quitting games if I really don't like them. If I force myself to finish games that I'm just not enjoying, what that does is take away the valuable time that I could be putting towards games that I genuinely do like. Matthew asks, I'm always curious about what the origin of a YouTuber is, so my question is this: what's your reasoning for starting YouTube, and were you inspired by someone or something? Cuddles to Toby, and keep being awesome. Aw, thank you so much. I might have answered aspects of this question before, but a major piece of my YouTube origin story I sound like I'm about to describe to you my villain origin story, which the older I get, sometimes. One aspect of my origin story includes wanting to delve more into narrative, story-based single-player games that I missed out on because I spent so many years straight streaming multiplayer games. I think the only multiplayer game that I never really got into was Fortnite. I've played COD. I was so hell-bent on following trends and doing what was kind of cool at the time and whatever the meta was, because at that time, I wanted to grow, and I had done a lot of research, I had tried out a lot of things, and doing that, following the trendy, popular games, the multiplayer games, was kind of how you did that. But when I sat down and reevaluated what I wanted out of content creation and really life in general, I wanted to enjoy what I was doing, and I realized that I wasn't enjoying what I was doing anymore with all of the back-to-back streaming and playing the same games day in and day out. And I simply found myself not enjoying the games I was playing, and I felt like I had missed out on a lot of fabulous stories like The Last of Us, the entire Uncharted series, even though that came out a long time before I even decided to create an account on the internet. I feel like starting up my YouTube channel was also symbolic of me kind of shedding this past version of me that I didn't really vibe with anymore. It's not to say that I'm not super grateful for all the people that I met, all of the learning experience that I gained after all those years. I am so grateful for all of it. There eventually came a time where I was kind of ready to move on from all that. I also wanted to start a YouTube channel because I knew there was no way in heck that I was going to actually finish these story games that I started if I did not have a reason to finish them. And for me, every playthrough series that I do on my channel is a project. I want to finish what I start. One of my toxic traits in real life is starting up games and never finishing them. And I did not want to set that precedent for my channel at all. My YouTube channel was also a challenge for myself that I have to complete whatever I start. I've run into issues with that philosophy along the way. There are definitely games that I've played on my channel that I was looking back, I'm like, I wish I would have just cut that midway, because it got to a point where I was forcing myself to complete it. And at the end of those playthroughs, I walked away feeling very burnt out. And because of that, I now approach each game series on my channel a little differently than I did before. To explain that a little bit better, what I do is I try to complete the full series. I want to get all the videos done before I start uploading it, or depending if the game is a lot longer, I will try to get at least halfway through the game, or enough of the way through where I know deep down this is going to be a worthy investment of my time and that I know I actually like the game. Because knowing what I know now, looking back, I never want to force myself to complete a playthrough ever again if I don't genuinely like the game. In my humble opinion, the key to longevity in this business is to recognize burnout and take swift action when you start to feel it. Take breaks. Also, don't take anything at all. Comments, nothing. Opinions, nothing. Take none of that personally. I love interacting with people online, but between all of the platforms, the comment sections on YouTube, the emails that I receive, the tweets and replies that I get on all of the social media platforms that I exist on, it's so much. And sometimes all of that noise and opinions about yourself and ideas that people project onto you about who they think you are and who they expect you to be, all of that noise after a while is deafening and it's overwhelming. And when I was a streamer, all of that noise, because of the instant feedback loop of having a live chat there, it was so incredibly overwhelming to the point where the best way to describe how I felt at the time was so burnt out, it wasn't even funny. My social battery was fully depleted. So I saw YouTube as a way for me to enjoy and be completely in the moment with any game that I choose to play without all of the comments and the alerts and the noises and the ripping myself out of the immersion with the game to respond to all the billions of things that are happening in chat. Again, I'm not saying it's objectively a bad thing to want to live stream or to enjoy the alerts or having a live chat. And there's people that specifically watch streamers because they want that personal interaction, and that is okay. What I'm saying is that after a while, that wasn't for me anymore. I just wanted to sit down, enjoy a game, create content, be creative, and to just do what I wanted to do and to discover more about myself and my talents. And I couldn't do that. I couldn't be as introspective as I wanted to be with all of this external noise around me. I really hope that makes sense. The origin story behind why I went from being a live streamer to a YouTuber is a very lengthy thing to unpack and is probably more appropriate to talk about with like a therapist. There was a lot of good, there was a lot of bad, and there was a lot of ugly. But once again, I would never, ever, ever in a million years trade all of the experiences that I've had in the past for any. There is no amount of money in the world that I would accept to go back and change anything that happened. Everything that I've ever experienced in my life is what brought me here, is what made me into the person that I am today. And one major lesson that I have learned in my life is don't feed into the drama. Drama is like junk food. It tastes so good going down, but makes you feel like crap later on. Next question. Samir on Twitter says, how to be happy and positive whenever I see your videos are always smiling and laughing. Any tips? By the way, love your videos. Okay, wait. Let me go back. How to be happy and positive whenever I see your videos. You are always smiling and laughing. Well, it seems to me that there is a question and also a statement in this one. So it sounds like you find a lot of joy and positivity and happiness from watching my videos, which again, thank you. That is always the goal. But then you ask how to be happy. And I don't know how to answer that question because that would imply that I have figured it out, and I have not figured it out. Behind the scenes, the people that oftentimes look like they're the happiest people in the world, sometimes those people are hurting the most. I'm telling you right now, I do not ever want you to believe for a second that I am like that all the time. There are some days where it feels like I will never feel like that again. Happy, go lucky, excited, passionate, inspired, motivated. And then there's days where I'm like, wow, life is so good. I am high on life. I have made my peace with happiness, and I fully understand that it is like all the bad times in our life, it's temporary. I used to get so down on myself whenever I would feel like crap for whatever reason, sometimes for no reason at all. I'd feel like a fraud, like I was putting out this inauthentic version of myself to the world. I literally would suffer from imposter syndrome anytime I was having a bad day, which is frequent. I am not saying this to make anyone feel bad or sad. I'm telling you this because I want you to realize that YouTubers, even the seemingly happy ones, we all struggle. Literally once a freaking month, I contemplate quitting. I'm dead serious. I don't contemplate it to fart in the general direction of every single person who has ever supported me. It's a personal struggle. It's a pressure thing. It's an imposter syndrome thing. It's a human thing. I think we all go through that. We all struggle. But one thing I try to do is create content when I'm feeling really good, but I don't ever want to seem disingenuous when I do that. I don't do it all the time, but I think I try to only create content when I'm feeling good because I'm somebody who firmly believes that you get out of life what you put into it. The energy that you receive in life is the energy that you are putting out into the world. Therefore, mathematically speaking, if I put out negative energy into the world, I shouldn't be surprised when I get that negative energy right back. And this excludes constructive criticism. I am absolutely open to constructive criticism. I am also the first one that will admit when they're wrong. Without making mistakes and being wrong in life, literally, how do you learn? How do you grow as a human being? I don't think there's any weakness behind accepting when you're wrong. And I think accepting when you're wrong and being able to empathize with another person who feels like you have wronged them in a way, just hearing them out will do wonders for the situation than if you get defensive and if you start feeding the situation with more negativity. I have now lost my train of thought where I was going with that one, so on to the next question. Dylan asks, has your gaming channel opened you up to play games you normally wouldn't play on your own? Absolutely. Literally every single game that I started my channel with, which is all of the narrative-heavy, story-driven Choices Matter games, all of the Life is Stranges, Detroit Become Humans, The Walking Dead, all of the Telltale games, I don't think I would have ever played those if I didn't start a YouTube channel. It's actually the fan base of those games that I have to thank for basically everything. Without them, I don't know if I would have ever gained the momentum and the traction for my channel to even be where it is today. I think I would have played this game eventually, but if it wasn't for my channel, I don't know how long it would have taken me to play Ghost of Tsushima. You guys may or may not know, but you should know. It's one of the best games I've ever played. After finishing it, I was so mad at myself that it took me that long. Jonathan asks, do you have any interest in playing games with your viewers? I used to do that a lot when I was a live streamer, but it's harder to do it now that I just do pre-recorded YouTube videos. Also, schedules are weird and it's hard to coordinate, but then it would just be hard to play with every single person that wants to play, you know what I mean? Not saying I'm like massively popular and like, oh my gosh, all these people are literally lining up and breaking down my door to play games with me, but it's not feasible. Also, if I can be kind of honest with you guys and maybe even a little bit more serious, having just hit 100,000 subscribers, again, that is a lot of people. Some of you may understand this, some of you may not, but there is a sort of power differential that exists, okay? And I am fully aware of the fact that there may be people out there that want to play games with me, interact with me, talk with me, because maybe they have ulterior motives. Maybe they are just huge fans and they want to meet somebody that they look up to. The truth is, we are all human. We all make mistakes. We all have bad days. We all have good days as well. But I never want to be in a position where I am talking to somebody who is a viewer or a subscriber that I don't know personally, and they feel pressured by me. Whether or not I am aware of the pressure that they feel, I don't want them to ever feel like they should do something because I said it. I don't ever want to tell people what to do. Maybe they have perceived or interpreted something that I said as that being something that they should do themselves. What I'm trying to say is there is a power differential that can sometimes be created between viewers and YouTubers and people in the community, and sometimes opening yourself up to playing with viewers that only know the you that you present to the world through the camera or through the very edited version of yourself. I don't want to open up the possibility that the person I'm playing with kind of has to change who they are because they're playing with me or because they're hanging out with me. You know what I mean? I want friendships that are truly organic. A lot of my friends and a lot of the people in my life, we do not discuss YouTube. And as somebody who values privacy so much, what I want you to truly understand is my choice and my inability to play with every viewer that wants to play games with me. It comes from a place of wanting to protect you and also wanting to protect me and my privacy, and also protect this kind of sacred relationship that we have as YouTuber and viewer, and also with time zones and the sheer amount of people on this planet. It's also not possible because there's not enough hours in the day, or video games that I'm even interested in. Some people want to play COD with me, and I don't really play Call of Duty anymore. All right, next question. Jacob on Twitter says, okay, here it goes. What's a game that you have not tried out yet but really want to? Easy. And does not require a long-winded 2-hour-long explanation. GTA 5. Somebody else asks on Twitter, are dirty questions allowed? No. Next. What do you love most, sea or green nature? Honestly, depends on my mood. I love hikes. I'm so sad I'm not currently hiking right now, actually. I love the water, but I also love being outside on trails, hiking mountains, amongst trees. I really can't answer that question because nature is nature, and I am always happy to exist in nature. It's the one place that I feel completely relaxed, completely myself. Going outside, going for a run, going for hikes, it's so healing. Who is your idol in life? Julie Andrews, easy. Also my mom. I cannot forget about my mother. She is the greatest human being ever on the planet, in my humble opinion, of course. She is such an inspiration. She is a golden retriever of a human being. I am constantly in awe of her and her patience and her kindness. She is somebody who can walk into a room full of strangers and make every single one of them her friend. She is so open and warm and talkative. She is the definition, the textbook definition of an extrovert. But the greatest thing about her is she is the kindest person I have ever met. She is my real role model. She is the type of person that I try to model myself to be like, if that makes sense. This also includes my father as well. I am so extremely lucky to have the parents that I have. I owe every single thing, every aspect of who I am as a person, I owe it all to my parents. I also know that I am extremely privileged to be able to say that, and I never, ever, ever, ever for a single moment want to take that for granted. Who is your favorite superhero ever? Well, if you would have asked me this pre-December of 2023, I would have told you Spider-Man. But now, it's the Batman. Top 3 games of all time. Okay, I both love and hate these questions, like the top 5, top 3, top 10 favorite games ever. I can't answer that. And if I can answer that, it is going to change every single day depending on my mood. I do not have a concrete list of however many favorite games of all time. I have a lot of favorite games. I reframe this question to make it easier for me to answer. Basically what I do, instead of trying to make an entire list of my top 10 favorite games and try to quantify why or why not they are my favorite, I ask myself one question, and that is, would I play this game again? For me, and this might not be the case for everyone else, like there might be people out there that are like, well, this is one of my favorite games of all time, but I don't really have any interest in playing it again. That's totally fine. But for me personally, if I wouldn't ever play the game again all the way through, there's a good chance that I didn't enjoy it enough to even classify it in a top 10 favorite games list. For example, I have played Skyrim 11 times. I'm not exaggerating. I would play The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2 again. I would play all of the Uncharted games all over again from start to finish, 1 through 4, including Lost Legacy. I would play the Bioshock series again. So I cannot give you an itemized list of all of my favorite games. We would be here forever. And it would be unfair to all of the other games that I absolutely love and adored, but didn't put on my list. Also, times 2, I don't like creating lists because there's always that person out there that if you tell them you prefer waffles over pancakes, they're like, so you hate pancakes? How freaking dare you, you pancake hater? When in reality, it's not that I hate pancakes at all. It's just that I have a preference for the perfectly engineered syrup pockets that occur in waffles, and I'm not going to apologize for it. So I don't list off games because I don't want to leave one out and then have there be somebody out there that's like, oh my god, you did not list Red Dead Redemption 2, that means you hate it? And I hate you. Like, I don't want that. So what you should really ask me is, would you play X game again? And if I say yes, that means it is one of my top favorites. If you could be a protagonist in any game, which one and why? You know what? I want to be a protagonist in my own damn game. I want my own story. I want my own characteristics, personality, character model, ability trees, animal sidekick. I want it all. I don't want to be limited by a game or a character that I've already played. I want to think outside the box. I want to be in my own game and then not play it because that would just weird me the heck out. Like, I sometimes have a hard time editing my own videos because, like, listening to myself speak and seeing my face sometimes, there's days where I'm like, talk to the hand. But yeah, I would definitely want my own game. Ed asks, how did you become so amazing? Seriously though, what game has the biggest impact on you as a person? Addressing the first question, how did you become so amazing? I don't know. I'll let you know when I find out, if I ever find out. But like, I live with me. I am me. I see me all the time. I hear me speak all the time. I understand my flaws, the things I wish I could change about myself. It's not all amazing. Let me tell you. I think true awesomeness comes from accepting that you are a flawed and imperfect human being, and you accept every single facet of who you are. I also think being awesome comes from being your most authentic and genuine self and being honest about who you are while also being open to changing. Hi, my baby boy. Oh my god. My baby, I love you. What game had the biggest impact on you as a person? Okay, this is going to have multiple answers. Emotionally, Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. That is where we're going to end that conversation. I have played a lot of games where I love and feel so much for the main character, like The Walking Dead. Did my thing just shut off? Oh, it must be on a timer. That's the universe telling me to wrap it up, girlfriend. It's like I'm at the Oscars and they're like, hurry up, you're talking too much. Or if you're a game developer talking at the Game Awards, speed it up, y'all. Disrespectful ring light. How dare you? There are a lot of games that I've played where I end up feeling so many things for the main character. But Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the few games that I have played where losing a character felt like you had lost someone in your personal life. I think because of the length of the game, the freedom that you have in the game, the ability to interact with other people in your camp. I don't want this to come off as negative at all, but there are a lot of games out there, a lot of recent games, a lot of older games, where when you play them, maybe it's just because I've been playing games for a really long time, and I've played so many, and I kind of play them like it's my job, because in a weird way it is. There could be a lot of reasons why I feel this way about games, but I do feel like a lot of games that I play, you can almost see the programming. You can see the repetitive motions in like their hands and their facial expressions. You get a sense and an understanding of the programmed routine behind any given character. Red Dead Redemption 2 does an immaculate job, a near perfect job of making you feel like the world that you are in is real. The NPCs in the game poop.
Oh, get the hell out of here, will you?
Sorry, wrong room.
Oh, I'm trying to concentrate. Oh, I hear you out there laughing at me.
They have jobs. They have families that they go home to every night. Depending on whether you engage with that character on a Monday versus a Friday in their virtual world, you might catch them in a different mood, or you might get a different response to something that Arthur says. And I do believe deep down that it is one of the very few games that exist right now that can be considered evergreen. The sense of freedom that game gives you. I haven't played GTA 5 yet, but I really can't think of any other game that has a story, that has cut and dry characters, but even within all of the limitations that the game gives you, like, you can't create your own character, right? You can in Red Dead Online, but even though there's a lot in the game that you can't change, you still feel like you're getting a unique experience. Another game that has had such a huge impact on me as a human being is Hogwarts Legacy, 110%. Not just because the game was fun, had a great story. I finally got to live out my dream of becoming a Hogwarts student and exploring the entire castle, but that game changed the course of my life, my YouTube channel. That game created a literal night and day difference in my channel. Like, literally, I went to bed one night, woke up the next morning, and everything was different. I'm so grateful for that game for so many reasons beyond the fact that it's just a fun time. The Dark Lynx on Twitter asks, what is your ultimate goal? Not just as a content creator, but in general. Hold on, this light keeps turning off on me, so we're just gonna keep it off for now. That is a really great philosophical question. As a content creator, I have no goals. I actually don't believe in goals. Let me rephrase and say that I don't believe in specific goals, especially when they're numerical. I think it'd be really cool to hit 1 million subscribers one day. I also think it'd be really cool to hit 5 mil, 10 mil, get the diamond play button, which, speaking of, I just recently got the email that I can apply for my silver play button on YouTube. Can't wait. Thank you to everyone who made that possible. But there's also parts of me deep down inside that is uber terrified of the idea of being perceived by 100,000 people, much less 1 million people. I am not someone who chases fame or copious amounts of money. So my ultimate goal as a content creator is to continue what I'm doing for as long as it is exciting, as it inspires me and motivates me. But at the end of the day, my ultimate goal is just to be happy doing what I'm doing. As a person, what is my ultimate goal? And I want to preface this by saying that I love work, but I love meaningful work, and meaningful work will change depending on who you are. For me, meaningful work means that I am doing something to help others. I'm creating a space where they feel comfortable, at ease, like they can be themselves. So my lifelong goal is to continue making people feel good, put out the good vibes, but ultimately I never, ever, 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 ever want to harm anyone. I never intend to do that, but I've learned this the hard way, that you can control your intention, but you can't control someone's perception. As for jobs and careers, I have no goal for any one specific job or career. I believe in myself, and I have faith that I will find whatever I need to find in my life that will suit who I am at any given moment, if that makes sense. I find a lot of joy in jobs where I am on my feet, I am interacting with people, I'm physically moving my body, which is ironic because a lot of my time is spent sitting, recording, and editing. But I do all of this because it's really rewarding. I have contemplated this a lot, but I honestly don't know where I'm going to be or what I'm going to be doing in the next 5-10 years. If I am still creating videos, will it revolve around gaming? I have no idea. My interests over the last 10 years have changed so much. I'd be silly to think that I'm not going to change again in the next 10 years. My only goal is that I am happy doing what I'm doing, I'm fulfilled, and I'm also helping people, helping the world. And I have had careers in the past that have reflected that value, and I hope to continue finding careers that will do the same. I do YouTube specifically because it's my favorite way of expressing myself and putting myself out there on the internet. If it wasn't for YouTube and video editing, I don't actually know if I would exist on social media at all. To be quite honest with you, social media in general is not really my thing. I love video editing because I am always learning new stuff. And I think that's a huge reason why I still am here on YouTube, because I am a lifelong learner. I am a student of life. And because there's so much that goes into content creation and there's so much variety with what you can do, it's really hard for me to get bored, because if I get sick of doing one thing, I can figure out something else I want to do, go outside, make a vlog, learn how to script. There are constantly ways where I can push myself and challenge myself to do something different. AZ asks, have you ever thought of starting a podcast? Every single freaking day. I would love to start a podcast. I have thrown around so many names. I actually thought of a really freaking good name the other day, and I'm so mad at myself because I didn't write it down. I didn't put it in a note in my phone, and now I can't remember it. The only thing about me creating a podcast is that it would not be just revolving around video games. I would create a theme and a name revolving around everything. A couple years ago, I had the idea to create a podcast and call it the Anything Goes podcast because, as the name suggests, I wanted anything to be talked about, but turns out that that name has already been taken. I also wanted to name my podcast the Anything Goes podcast because, if you guys don't know me, I am a huge musical theater fan, and Anything Goes is the literal name of one of my favorite musicals of all time. It's also like the song from that musical. Yes, we're gonna sing right now. Olden days, a glimpse of stocking was looked on as something shocking, but now God knows anything goes. Circling back to the question, I would absolutely love to start a podcast, and if I continue to create content, I think that's where I'm naturally headed. However, I still have not considered any of the logistics. Do I want it to be just me on the podcast? Do I want to have a co-host, like a regular co-host where it's not just my podcast, it also belongs to this other person or group of people? I have to consider a name. You know, there's so many things that I have to think about, but ultimately, yes, I would absolutely love to start a podcast because I love talking. Captain Redbeard asks if you could choose 5 video game villains to defend Earth from an alien invasion. So I'm protecting 5 villains from an alien invasion. Which ones would you choose and why? In this scenario, they would all work together. This might be one of the easiest questions I've ever had to answer. Joker. Harley Quinn. All other villains can suck my ding-dong. Just kidding. Seriously, though, I'm trying to think of some other villains. Does my dog count? Guys, if you only knew the shit Obi-Wan Kenobi puts me through. I'm trying to think back to some of the games I've played. Like, I couldn't really tell you the names of any of the villains in the Uncharted series. I'm trying to think of the villains from Red Dead Redemption 2. Nope. They can absolutely go down in a steamy hot dumpster fire. If you know, you know. I'm gonna be honest with you and say that a lot of villains are forgettable. I would say that Batman has some of the most memorable villains because that's kind of the point. I've come to realize and believe, you know, again, you might disagree with me, but the Batman villains are just as important as the Batman himself. Therefore, I think every single villain that I would save and band together with to go against an alien invasion would be all of the Batman villains. Next question is from Naruto. When you start reacting to the DC animated stuff, what's your plan for that gonna be? I have no idea right now. I am trying to get through all of the Christopher Nolan Batman movies as we speak, but you guys need to understand, I run 2 channels, both of them posting very consistently. I do all of the work for my gaming channel, all of the work, like recording, editing, uploading, SEO. My other channel, I do have an editor. Bless you. I love you so freaking much. Without them, I literally could not post to that channel. If I woke up one day and all of a sudden did not have an editor for that channel, I would have to stop. Almost all of the support that I receive on both of my channels goes straight towards paying them. So I'm working on those reactions, but I'm more in the planning phase right now. As much as I would love to upload daily, I simply can't. There is so much time and work that is involved in creating even one reaction video. And don't even get me started on copyright. So the TLDR is I'm planning on reacting to those eventually. I do not have a timeline for you though. So thank you for your patience. Matt asks, do you have a favorite Batman, Joker, or Robin? If so, which one? Because I have only experienced 2 Batmans, Kevin Conroy and now Christian Bale, and 1 Joker, being Mark Hamill, I am very biased. I would say, looking at all of my choices, probably Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy, but Christian Bale, though, he did such a good job. Like, he brought something to that character that I loved. John asks, which game are you wanting to play later this year? GTA 5. Moses on Twitter asks, what is it about gaming that is different from everything else? That is a really great question. For me, I think the engagement that goes along with playing a video game is the part that makes gaming stand out from any other form of entertainment. Movies and TV shows, you're really just sitting there and watching pixels. Reading a book, I have terrible reading comprehension, and I'm working on that, but you know, I love having hands-on. I also love problem solving. I love learning new buttons, new techniques, new ways of thinking about a problem and solving it. And I love that all games are different. You want a cozy game? There's tons of cozy games. You want a puzzle game? There's tons of puzzle games. But I love that for almost every single game. From one person to the next, you will get a totally different perspective and experience on the game that was played. Instead of book clubs, I want to start a video game club, but that's kind of what my channel is. Yeah, now that I think about it, I love that I've created a space here on YouTube where I feel like anyone can really gush about any of the games that they love. I am not a game hater. I'm not a console hater. I don't believe in any of those wars. You love what you love. I love what I love. And I love that we can come together and talk about it. Plo Cool asks, when did you start YouTube? 2021. Josh asks, what's been my favorite game that I've played on my channel so far? That's really hard. There's a lot. I love the Uncharted games. That's probably one of the happiest periods of time on my channel. I also loved Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, that one was life-changing, not because it did great things for my channel, but because the game is a masterpiece. Ghost of Tsushima, same thing. I don't think I have one favorite game. Like I said before, it all comes down to would I play a game again? And all of those games I would play 100 more times. But it's so hard to list my favorite games because they're all so different. Do you believe pineapple belongs on pizza? No! Throw that entire thing in the trash. Nate asks, what's the funniest moment in any video game?
Come on. Wait. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, guys, crowning. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, no, no, no. Don't go back in. Oh, infernal serpent of stone. Ooh. You want to fight? You want to fight? I'll fight. No, I give up. Hell cannot be worse than this. Oh, who's out there now? Stop shuffling around and leave me alone. No, come on. Oh, I can't take it anymore. I'm so tired. I just want to get on with my life. It's useless. It's never gonna end, is it?
What's the worst game you've ever played and why? I don't dwell on the worst games that I've ever played. If I don't vibe with something, I immediately uninstall it, stop playing it, never to be thought of ever again. There are a couple games that I can think of off the top of my head that I didn't vibe with, like Greedfall stands out as one of them, but I don't have any games that I hate, because I also think hate is such a strong word, and you will never, ever, ever, ever see me drag a game through the mud. I don't think it's fair to the developers, who are still human beings with families, with feelings, with aspirations, who put so much time and effort and love into the game that they created. Because let's face it, no game developer creates a game hoping that it fails. I would hope that devs only take on projects that they feel fulfilled by and want to see succeed. So I will never, ever, ever for a second waste any of my valuable time here on Earth putting down a game that I didn't like. Also, because liking or not liking something is an opinion. There's probably hundreds of people out there that loved a game that I didn't particularly like. What was the first game that you ever played? John asks. That is such a hard question. My earliest gaming memories are of watching my dad, not even playing it myself, but watching my dad play the original Tomb Raider 2. I also played so much DS, like so much Nintendo DS. The amount of hours I have logged into Nintendogs would make you sick. If only the amount of virtual cardio I spent taking those dogs for a walk, if that translated to real life, I would be set. A Boy Who Cried Wolfie asks, I'm not sure if you remember me, but I used to watch your streams on a site called Mixer. I do remember your name. Just want to know how you're doing, and also congrats on the 100K. Thank you so much. And to answer your question, I am doing fabulous. I am recently coming out of a slump. There was a span of about 3 or 4 months there where I was really down in the dumps, and like I've always said, and now I can say from experience that things get better. Just be patient and be kind to yourself. Also recognize when you're burnt out and when you need to take breaks, because turns out taking breaks was the answer that I needed for some of my issues. Sometimes all you need is a good cry and a lot of sleep. Rachel asks, what would you like to see in a Hogwarts Legacy sequel? Probably more locations. I love Hogwarts, don't get me wrong, but there's allegedly this entire wizarding world out there covering planet Earth. I want to see the other schools. I'd love to see the other countries. But honestly, I will accept anything in a Hogwarts Legacy sequel. I just want a sequel. Would you ever play Subnautica? I have tried, and I got to the open water and was like, nope. Hell no. King Leech asks, if you could possess any superpower, what power would it be? Ooh, that's a really hard question. Flying? I've always wanted to fly, but if I could make money appear out of thin air, I would. I would give some to myself, my family, and literally anyone who needs it. The fact that there are people struggling financially that work 2 to 3 full-time jobs, have kids, are doing it right by the book, checking all the boxes, and still cannot make ends meet, there is something horribly wrong here. If I could materialize money out of thin air, I would literally give it to every single person that needed it. I would pay off everybody's student loans, any debt that they were in. I would basically wipe everyone's slate completely clean. And if you think I'm lying, that's fine. I don't need to prove anything to you. That is honestly what I would do. Like, dead serious. I get very heated about this. Ooh, to add, I would also love to be the Avatar, like from Avatar The Last Airbender. Bend all the elements. David asks, are you planning on going to a Comic-Con or any other convention? Yes! I love going to events. I love going to PAXs, cons. I've never been to a Comic-Con. I've always wanted to go. So if I ever have the opportunity to go anytime soon, absolutely I will be there. Christopher asks, how funny can funny be to you until you start crying? You know what? I'm somebody now, after all these years and after being through a lot emotionally, I try to find the humor in everything. And one of my mottos is, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. But I would much rather look at a situation and find the humor than try to pick out everything that's wrong. I don't know about you, but I actively try to complain less, even though I fail horribly. But when I complain, it doesn't relieve me of the frustration or the pain that I feel. I think it helps me dig a deeper hole, where finding the light and the humor in every single situation is so much harder and so much more powerful. Think about it. How much harder is it for you to look at a situation and see the positive and respond positively over feeding into the anger and saying something that you don't mean? It is so hard sometimes to take the high road. Like, let's be honest here. Johnny says, I watched your headphone video and learned that you like audiobooks. What are some of your favorite authors? I read a lot of Eckhart Tolle, and he's definitely more in the spiritual realm, but he has a lot of great insight about how to be more self-aware and to not overthink your thoughts and not let them become you and control you. I listen to him a lot for his wisdom. I also really like Dan Brown. I love a good mystery. But I will read anything that is mystery or suspense. I love things that keep me guessing. Barry, I think I pronounced it right. It's Barry MK on Twitter, asks, how do you find such happiness in life and what makes you happy? Again, that's a really hard question. Happiness is not a black and white thing for me. It's a spectrum and it's temporary. I think for a long time I tried to chase this permanent sense of happiness, and every single time I would learn the hard way that it's never going to stick around forever. What you need to do is appreciate it and live in the moment when you are experiencing it, but don't try to hold on to it forever. Just be grateful, be there with it. And then I think you'll end up finding that you are happier more often than you're not happy. But sadness and the more negative emotions are essential to our entire life. You cannot know the positive things in life. You cannot understand happiness to its fullest if you have not also experienced sad times. I feel like everyone believes that they just need to be happy all the time and that's their ultimate goal. And if they haven't achieved happiness all the time, then they have failed. But that is such a toxic way of thinking. You are never going to achieve that. That is a level of perfection that is just not possible. What I try to do is listen to my depression, listen to my anxiety. I feel like they're always trying to tell me something, whether it's I'm working myself too hard, I'm burnt out, I'm listening to the wrong people, I'm hanging out with the wrong people. My depression, to me personally, again, to everyone it's different. Sometimes it's a chemical imbalance. But for me, my depression and my anxiety have become my friends. They have become my teachers. When I'm feeling really, really bad, I am more likely now to sit down, kind of meditate, observe my thoughts, try and see what they're trying to tell me. But I can confidently tell you that I am not a happy-go-lucky person all the time. I am lucky to be that half the time. Don't always take what you see on the internet as gospel. A lot of us are really only showing you what we want you to see. You guys don't see the 12-hour-long Netflix marathons where I'm super depressed, I'm eating ice cream by the quart, because that's not what I want to put out there. That's not what I want to be remembered for. But I do think having those moments are super important, but I want them to be for me and me alone. I'm not saying that people should only deal with things on their own. I do believe that if you are struggling truly, you need to reach out to somebody, but almost always you are the only one that has the answer to your own problems. You cannot seek it outside of yourself, and sometimes all you need is a little rest and relaxation and introspection. Mies asks, who in your family shares your love for gaming the most? I would say my dad and my brother. I used to game with my brother all the time. It's harder to do so now because we're both older, jobs and all that good stuff. I would say my dad still regularly plays games. I know he played the entirety of God of War from 2018 because I gave him my copy. I also gave him my PlayStation 4 to play it on, and he loved that game. He also loved all of the Uncharted's, but I don't know if he's played anything recently. I'm somebody who will pick up and play almost any game. I'll at least give it a go. I won't promise that I'll love it, but everyone else, it seems like they're more likely to play specific genres, they are less likely to branch out of the genre that they're already really comfortable with, which I totally get because we all got limited time here. Sometimes playing games, especially new releases, is kind of a gamble whether or not it's going to be worth your time. Pats asks, do you have any aspirations to travel? Absolutely. I would love to go to Japan. Totally unrelated to Ghost of Tsushima. I also would love to go to Australia and New Zealand. And there's also several European countries that I have not been to yet. I have been to a couple so far, but there's so many more that I have never been to that I would love to visit. All right, I am officially exhausted of hearing myself speak. That is where I will end my TED Talk. I mean Q&A. I hope you were entertained. I hope you guys learned a little something. Thank you so much for watching. And once again, thank you guys so much for 100,000 subscribers. It is still so surreal. I am not looking forward to editing this, embarrassingly long video. Go forth and be happy. That is all. Seriously though, I hope you have a beautiful rest of the day, and I'll see you guys next time.